You're watching the Capital PTBO Sports Show on Rogers TV North Durham, KAWARTHA.
You are watching the Capital PTBO Sports Show, an MNC podcast production. You can check us out anytime on Twitter at MNC Podcasts. Coming up on the show today, we'll get you a lot of thoughts on the Ontario Hockey League playoffs. We'll talk about some of the intriguing storylines in the National Hockey League as it winds down its regular season. And could Major League Baseball be adopting a salary cap? You know, the Blue Jays getting rolling, so we're in high baseball mode. Plus, the very first of its kind, there will be the Capital PTBO Sports Spelling Bee.
Yes.
We're excited about that. Mark Million here, Producer Matty up in the box. Once again, the Sports Spelling Bee.
Let's go.
An idea that came to us independent of each other, and then we just sort of said to each other, it would be fun if we did this spelling bee.
I love watching the Scripps Spelling Bee, like when it was a thing. I can remember when ESPN first broadcast it, thinking like, oh my God, this is so good. It's like reality TV, but with, you know, crushing the hopes and dreams of 10-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Right? They would spell H. I never forgot this one. Spell H. And the kid's like, can I hear it in a sentence? The letter H. I'm sure they used a different, what? Do you know how to spell the letter H?
I don't.
No.
Is it like Hatch? No.
ECCEH.
Have you ever seen the video
Wow.
of the kid just rhyming off iridocyclitis?
No.
Just nailed it.
Really?
Absolutely. And not to mention the Capital PTBO Sports Spelling Bee is, I believe, the first time you two are going head-to-head.
We are.
Correct.
Usually it's Mark beating up on me.
It's usually, here's like for the visual for the people at home, just quickly. It's Hogan standing in the ring, right? And like, here comes Dink. Or here
Clown?
Here comes Dink the Clown. Here comes.
I can't even be Doink.
No, you're the little wee one. Like here comes the Brooklyn Brawler. Here comes Iron Mike Sharp. Like one of the Ham and Eggers, one of the jobbers, and then Hogan, of course.
Well, I'm super excited, and the reason why I had this idea, by the way, make a mark about Hulk Hogan, because we're going to talk about him a little bit later. I know you love when we get to a lot of wrestling, and there might be some on this program. Yeah. One of the reasons why I thought it would be interesting to do this sports-themed spelling bee is that the Rotary Club of Peterborough has approached me about participating in a media spelling bee because they're putting on the huge tournament with the kids. And so I've been approached about that, and I have to be honest, I don't fancy myself an outstanding speller. I don't think I'm bad, but... we'll clarify the rules a little bit, but Matt Latour, we're going to allow scribbles on this, right? We don't have to do it just out of thin air.
I will go. You guys told me I was the quiz master. I came up with the rules. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You're good.
Everybody knows the rules. Right on. Good stuff.
You did say yes to the spelling bee. You're going to be entered.
I am going to be entering in this spelling bee. And it's going to be interesting. Let's just say that.
I like it.
This show would not be possible without the support of our good friend Brian Goldfinger. Goldfinger Personal Injury Law. If you want a free consultation and need the best in the business, all you have to do is log on to goldfingerlaw.com or call 1-877-730-1777. Again, don't fool around. Go get Brian Goldfinger. Goldfingerlaw.com. 1-877-730-1777. Also, shout out to all of our subscribers on Patreon. You can visit patreon.com/capitalptbo, and your name can be on the wheel of Win Nothing, which most of our viewers are going to observe has a special sponsor of its own now.
Yeah. So, I mean, Matty's obviously going to, he's going to get it all dialed in here on the Magic Box, but for us going blind, we're really happy to introduce to the show Flash Freeze Candy Company. So if you like freeze-dried candies, if you've never tried it, trust me, it's flavor country. It's terrific. It's addictive, and currently being sold here in Peterborough. So if you like that sort of thing, you want to try, you can get it at Couture Candy, which is at, I don't know what their address is, 386 George Street North. It's close enough.
You can find us at 370 George Street and then just walk.
And
Look
just keep
for
going.
the pink building.
Look for the pink store, and then the same in Lansdowne Place Mall. So we've got the regular, the group of 9.
You had 386. You nailed that.
Thank you very much. Nikki Kimball, currently the defending champ of the Wheel of Win Nothing.
All right.
Yep.
What
give
have
it a
we got
spin.
here?
Oh, it's been a minute. Brad Sinclair.
Brad
There he is,
Sinclair,
baby.
there he is back. You see that? Brad last week was on he was on a rehab assignment down in the minors. We bring him back into the starting lineup. Bang, scores right away.
Good friend
Beautiful.
Brian Brad Sinclair.
Yes,
Somebody who's supported the show really pretty much since day one.
absolutely. Yeah, he's one of the OGs, one of the originals for
He
sure.
is outstanding fellow and fun follow if ever you're on Facebook.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we've got a lot to get to today, but of course the Ontario Hockey League playoffs is going to be paramount, and that is the Peterborough Petes taking on the Sudbury Wolves.
Yeah.
A matchup that hasn't happened in a couple of years. These are two teams that don't traditionally meet in the playoffs. I think it's exciting. My man Scott Arnold, who was doing a little bit of research for PTBOtoday.ca, said Peterborough and Sudbury, I think they've met 3 or 4 times in history, and Peterborough has never lost a playoff series to the Sudbury Wolves ever, which is kind of interesting. Mark, your thoughts in the pivotal 4-5 matchup?
Yeah, very much. Like there's not a lot that's going to separate these two clubs. I know Peterborough has kind of been limping a little bit for the month of March. I'm sure that they would have, like anything, they would have loved to have run the table. Home ice advantage, I think, is going to mean something. I know we'll get into the awards here in a little bit, but I think that there's probably an advantage up front in terms of the goal scoring with Robertson and Hayes and these sorts of guys. So I think the forward group for Peterborough is probably a lot stronger than the 4 versus 5 will indicate. I don't anticipate Sudbury giving them all they can handle, like a 5-er.
You think Peterborough in 5?
I think Peterborough in 5. If they can get both, if they can get Thursday night, Friday night, and obviously as we're taping here, the playoffs haven't started. So if they can get a Thursday night, Friday night out of the gate, let them both have it, it's over. The Sudbury will take one at home, and then Peterborough wraps it up in Game 5. Bang.
What is going on
My
over
own
there?
microphone is muted. What's going on?
Jeez, fellas.
Who's the producer?
Yeah.
I've also got Pete's in 5. Sudbury allowed 260 goals this season, which is second most for any playoff team. And they're playing against a team, I said last week, the most stacked 4 seed I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't anticipate a low scoring affair. I think Simpson will be good enough to, the Pete's can afford to have one where not all the cylinders are firing, and he's still plenty capable enough of stealing you one, for sure.
So, I guess I think I'm not a hockey expert when I say it's important to hold on to home ice advantage because Peterborough, even going back to the last number of years, but certainly this season, just doesn't seem to play well in Sudbury. Issues with travel, kind of a wonky schedule too to get going because if I'm not mistaken, there's like a fishing show at the Peterborough Memorial Center. So you kind of get games 1 and 2 Thursday and Friday, and then there's a big break, and then you come back Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday.
So maybe that works in the Pete's advantage, but I know obviously traveling up to Sudbury to play, it's a great atmosphere no matter what the scale of the team is. But you know what? I'm hopeful, and I'm very confident that Peterborough will be able to. I want to hear this because we've heard this all year from the brass. We've heard it from media pundits. Look, chemistry hasn't quite ironed out. Let's just make sure that we're ready in time for the playoffs. Well, guess what? It's time for the playoffs.
Yeah, boys better get in the room and get to liking each other.
So let's find out. Tucker Robertson, he became the first Peterborough Pete since Eric Stahl in 2002-2003 to eclipse the 90-point mark, for those of you taking score at home. And he won a whole bunch of awards including the most valuable player. He joined PTBOtoday.ca on Freak 90.5. Cheap plug. I'm part of that program. And here's what he had to say.
It's pretty special when you look at all the guys that have on the team and see how the type of players. And the big one for me was just the one voted by the teammates. Super happy that they think that much of me, and I think the same about all of them. So it's really cool.
Peterborough has certainly had great success with people with the last name Robertson the last number of years. And Tucker Robertson, he lived up to the billing, man. Great season, outstanding individual, somebody who was very humble. And you can tell in his voice, and he was very upfront. Winning individual awards is great, But now his focus turns to winning the Ontario Hockey League Championship.
Is Robertson, he's a 2-time Pete's MVP, correct? He won last year as well, I believe. And we can, we'll get our crack research team. If that didn't happen, we'll edit it out of the show. Don't worry about it. He's the straw that stirs the drink here, right? Like, he's the guy. Like, I know Spearing's the captain, and I know all these sorts of things, and there's plenty of leadership in that room, I'm sure. But
he's been consistently the best player, I think.
He's been consistently the best
I don't
player.
think he has, that doesn't mean he's the most talented. That doesn't
That's
mean he has the highest upside. It seemed like more often than not, he was somebody who was going to find his way on the score sheet.
Right.
And just an outstanding, impressive season.
So. Yeah. So I think I'll stand by my in 5. Who else we got for awards?
Well, there's a lot of different awards. So Avery Hayes, he leads the team in goals with 43. Interesting, because I think you're going to make the point that I'm going to make, which is when you split time between two teams, should your overall total carry over?
For an league award, yes. For a team award, no. Not for me. Sam Mayer, also, I think he's also Defenseman of the Year for the Peterborough Petes twice, I believe. So, yeah, like I think the same thing about Hayes. I mean, a great accomplishment. I mean, what do you get, 43 goals or something? Yeah. Wild. Like, that's huge, but you scored 38 of them with somebody else.
Perhaps some of the big news to come out of the banquet, which took place earlier this week at the venue, was President Dave Pogue announcing that he is going to be stepping down from that particular post in June.
Mm-hmm.
Dave came to the helm back in 2016. Hard to believe it's been that long.
Mm-hmm.
He was somebody who really seemed to excel in being the face of the board, which, look, I was still early in my tenure, but it seemed like at times the board could be rather faceless.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't like there were people out front waving the flag. I know it's been a couple of years now just because of the situation in the world, but I mean, Dave Pogue was even having regular town halls with fans, getting input and that sort of thing, taking them through the business process.
Yeah.
I think there's just been a lot of leadership and accountability, and I won't hide it. You know, consider myself very friendly with Dave Pogue, and I think he's done an outstanding job.
I think he's done a terrific job, too. I think that there's been a lot of times where it's been easy to criticize. You know, certainly lack of whether it be first place finishes or playoff success or whatever.
Overall team success, yeah.
Overall team success, I think that's pretty easy to, when it's a nameless, faceless thing, and Dave never did that. You know, he always, you know, he was the president of the Peterborough Petes, and so nothing, he never shied away from that. And he's a good, like, he'll be staying on the board from what I read, you know, which would be good. It'll be good to have that sort of stability there. Interesting to see who, you know, who's on the short list.
Yeah. And of course, we don't necessarily know the inner workings of the political system of the board, so we don't know, but nobody like a Dave Pogue cachet sort of like jumped out to me directly. So it will be kind of intriguing to kind of watch how things roll out.
Yeah, when I read that, like when I read the article on PTBO another cheap plug for you, my initial thought was trying to get into alumni. You know, maybe it's somebody, and we've talked to, you know, we've had Brent Tully on the show before.
Is it Tully?
I mean, he would have, and we don't have any insider information on anything like that. But I mean, Tully's he's a good guy. He understands the game. He's been involved at many different levels, had success at different levels too. And he's he's one of the more decorated Pete's grads that we've had.
That is true. We're going to keep our eye on that. Again, June is when Dave Pogue will officially finish his tenure as president of the Peterborough Petes. Let's transition from the Ontario Hockey League all the way to the National Hockey League. And one group of playoffs is starting. The other, the regular season, still winding down. A couple of interesting things that I've been having my eye on the last couple of weeks as we get to the final home stretch of the last 7-8 games for most teams. In no particular order, I'm watching Connor McDavid. How high can this guy go? He surpassed 140 points for the first time since Yager and Lemieux both did it, 95-96.
Right.
One thing selfishly I'm watching is the most points in an NHL season for a player not named Lemieux or Gretzky is Yzerman, 155.
Right, 155.
Well within the crosshairs.
Yeah.
Connor McDavid, can he kind of get to that 65 goal mark? It's just fun to flip it on and read the box score every single game that he plays.
Right. I do expect, I think there's a 70 here. You know, I know that for a long time it was 66, 68. He's kind of, but Edmonton's in a dogfight. where they are in terms of the postseason. I'm pretty sure, I wouldn't say dogfight like for the wild card. I think they're past that point. Like they're within a few points now of Vegas in the division.
They want the seeding, yeah.
Right. I mean, Connor's got a 3 in him still, right? Like there's a hat trick that's going to come here. There's going to be a weak point in the schedule where the kid's going to go off.
So as we record, they still have to play Los Angeles, Anaheim, San Jose, Colorado, San Jose.
So the 2 San Jose's and the 2 Anaheims leap out immediately. LA, since they got rid of Quick and got Korpisalo, Quick's gone to Vegas and been a stud, and Korpisalo's gone to LA and been a stud.
So 7 games to get 10 goals.
7 games, and you don't think...
For Connor McDavid's not crazy.
You always got to factor into if the last 3 or 4 games don't matter for the seeding. Like, do they give them a couple off nights?
Oh, absolutely. I would think because the blowback would be unbelievable if, God willing, everything happens with Connor and he's fine. But you get to game 80 and you're playing in a back-to-back San Jose, or 81, I guess, and something happens. He gets injured. Like holy smokes!
Put up 3 assists last night against Vegas.
He did.
Time to just hang on to the puck.
Can you give me a snapshot of the NHL's Western Conference, Matthew? Because this was going to be my bullet point number 2. And that's to watch some of the extreme jockeying. In the East, the number 1 seed overall has been fairly well locked up by the Boston Bruins, who I'll get to in a second. In the West, I believe 3 or 4 points. There's a lot of teams that are sort of within grasp.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the Central Division, Minnesota currently leads the way with 95 points, followed by Colorado and Dallas, both with 94. And in the Pacific, Vegas is number 1 with 98, followed by Los Angeles with 96 and Edmonton with 95.
Yeah. And then see inside that Western, like inside the Pacific, like Calgary's next at 83.
Calgary's got 83. Right? Winnipeg's got 85.
Yeah.
Seattle's got 88.
So there's no chance the Oilers, all 3 of those are just playing for the 1, 2, 3 now. It's going to be done. A lot of these races are already over. Divisionally anyways, the wild card there's still plenty of jump there.
Is there a wild card team right now in the mix that you could say might have an opportunity to actually put up a fight against one of the top tier seeds?
Not in the East. Those teams, the wild card teams, are garbage. Like they're terrible. The Kraken, right?
Yep.
Winnipeg Jets. Like the Winnipeg Jets every night are finding a way to not get there. Mm-hmm. Kyle O'Connor's he's been better lately, and so has Morrissey. Like they're starting to get some scoring that they've had real problems with, and Kyle's proven that he's a goal scorer. Kyle O'Connor, Seattle, and they've got like the goaltending's great. Martin Jones has been terrific. They got Dreger back. Like they've got 4 guys. Grubauer's been good, but they just can't. They can't seem to hang on. Can't seem to put it together. Calgary Flames, like. What, so on that side, I don't see it. On the other side, though, like I think if you can get to Florida, no. Nashville or
Pittsburgh or the Islanders?
No. Pittsburgh, no.
They're the top 2 wild card spots.
If you can get Buffalo I know is at 77. The Sens are at 77, I think. Like I think they're 4 or 5 points back of the last spot. These are the teams that you want against Boston.
I keep waiting for one final Crosby playoff run. I would need to double check it. They've been out in the first round basically 4 or 5 years in a row.
Absolutely.
It feels like he's either in the finals or out in the first round.
Yeah. There's no common ground there. And I kept waiting for one final run. If they meet up with the Boston Bruins, I don't believe that's going to happen.
The only thing...
If they meet with Carolina... Then maybe I can...
Right. If they meet with Carolina, I think they can get to a second-round matchup. The one thing I would say about the Bruins is that they would have enough... I think there's probably enough elder statesmen in the room to understand, like, to be able to compete with that sort of, the been-there-befores of the Boston Bruins. But the Bruins team is an animal. And they're all young, and they're fast, and they score, and they're aggressive on the forecheck. And I just don't see... I don't see the Pens putting up any sort of fight. You need to fight fire with fire, and I'm not saying the Sabres, but if the Sens could find a way.
My favorite stat in the NHL, the Rangers are currently 2nd in the league in goal differential with a plus 53 differential. First is Boston at plus 117.
I was going to say, I watched the game last Saturday afternoon. I think the The Bruins are like plus 55 in the third period.
They've lost one regulation game after scoring first.
Yeah, Oilers.
I watched the Habs blow a lead in the first period every night and lose the game.
Yeah, right.
Happens quite commonly.
No kidding.
So there's another storyline is will the Boston Bruins eclipse the regular season wins record of 62, which is currently shared by the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Detroit Red Wings?
8 games left. They got 57 wins.
I mean, on surface, you'd go 5-3. Okay, makes sense. They could easily do that. That would be
their
consistent with their
probably
pace.
that would be their worst 8-game stretch ever
It would be.
this season.
And then you start, again, thinking, how much does that actually matter to the people on the team? Will they start giving guys breaks? They even didn't play Marchand or Pasternak, Pasternak I think played, but they rested some bodies, Bergeron, and they still went into Carolina and won the other night.
Yeah.
Well, they have the Blue Jackets on Thursday this
Oh,
week.
okay, so
That's
there's
a win.
one. There's 58.
They got the Habs the last game of the season. That should be a win.
Mm.
Then in between that, you've got the Penguins, Blues, Maple Leafs. You know the Maple Leafs, nobody's resting. Like that's a statement game for them. They want to shut down the Leafs.
The Blues will lay down.
Yeah, and then you got Devils, who they've been a competitive team all year, but I don't know, Flyers and Capitals.
No, they'll get it. 62.
Feels like a lot of games there.
They'll get the Caps. They'll get the Flyers.
Yeah.
8 games left.
There you go. 5-3. You heard it here first. Bet365 done.
Well, it's been a lot of fun watching the ending part of the National Hockey League. Temperature check on the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. Mark Millen, are you comfortable with where they're at? We've basically decided they're going to play Tampa Bay. That's been 3 months of those two teams kind of jockeying back and forth. I think Toronto plays well enough to hold on to home ice advantage against a team like Tampa Bay. Is that really the end of the world? Nah, they're tied in trust. They're really experienced enough that shouldn't be that big of a deal. That being said, if you're Toronto, of course you'd rather have it than not have it.
Yeah.
But what's your assessment of the squad at this point?
You're 5 points up with 2 games in hand on Tampa Bay. So it's going to happen. You're not going to catch the Bruins, and you're not going to go beneath Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay is not going to fall beneath. They're 7 points ahead of the Islanders. So it's going to happen. Islanders? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think Tampa Bay's been, Matty, you and Justin have talked about.
The Tampa plan.
Yeah, the Tampa plan where
Tampa Baying it.
Yeah, they're one night it's not going to. We're going to rest these 3 guys in the third period. And
We're
it's
not
be,
crazy. You're crazy.
Yeah, right. We're going to Kucherov and Stamkos and Braden Point. You're not getting it done for us, so we're going to sit you in the third. Okay, Hedman doesn't play one night. He's got a thing. Stamkos doesn't play one night.
Stamkos out in the first period with a lower body injury.
Right, lower body injury was.
They're like micro-sitting them.
Sure. So and that's what it is. And to Cooper's credit, I think he knows exactly what he's got. He knows he's got an aging force that has a ton of miles on them. They've had a lot of long runs, and resting these guys down the stretch. Without really resting these guys down the stretch, that's going to be okay. I mean, that's gamesmanship. I kind of actually appreciate it. I kind of like it.
I look at it if they play in the playoffs, which they will. It's a matchup of last year's first round. Can Samsonov beat Vasilevsky in a series? I don't think so.
Samsonov at home has been a lightning rod. He's only lost twice. The only guy that's been better is Allmark.
Okay.
So Vasilevsky hasn't been himself, and I know I say that last year, but I mean, if you go back and look at the scorecard at some of those games, I mean, the Leafs, obviously the glaring one was the 7-0 beatdown. But I think if you look early on in that series, there were a lot of Leaf fans walking around with their chests out because Vasilevsky, they scored 3, 4, 5 times.
He has the opportunity to get 2 shutouts in 3 games.
Oh,
sure.
He
still does as the X factor.
Absolutely. He'd still dial in.
This year, 264 goals against 915 save percentage, so
pedestrian.
Slightly worse than his career totals. But yeah, it's just, for me, that's the guy that turns it up a notch in the playoffs. And if you're looking at goaltending, and this has always been the conversation with the Leafs, is do they have the goaltending? And I think Samsonov's had a great season, but Vasilevsky's that guy.
Well, let's hope Samsonov this year is that guy.
Becomes that guy.
Yeah.
Shuffling gears here. Let's go to Major League Baseball.
Okay.
The season is here.
Yes.
People are excited. The World Baseball Classic got some people in the mood for baseball.
Fantasy baseball got me in the mood for baseball.
Kevin Kiermaier hasn't played a regular season game for the Blue Jays yet, but he sees big things in store for this year. Ahead of his first opening day with Toronto, Kiermaier says the Blue Jays have the potential to not only win the AL East, but dominate with a 100-win season.
I found this to be really something. So Kiermaier has played plenty of AL East baseball.
Yep.
Right? Like he played for the Rays, not exactly. So last year the Jays went 43-33 in the American League East. 10 games above 500, which is pretty good. The Orioles this year have taken a step. This year, the basement dweller this year, I think is going to be the Red Sox. And you're going to get a bottom seed in Boston that's going to win 75 ball games. I can't see the disparity being 25 games between the best team wins record and the worst team wins record, considering the 5 squads that are there. Tampa's going to be Tampa. Orioles have certainly taken a step. Some of the kids there, Mullins is obviously an animal, but Adley Rutschman, there's a couple of kids there that have really taken a step. This is something for Kiermaier to say that. He's a guy that understands the AL East better than most.
Off the top of your head, what is the Blue Jays single-season wins record?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't think they've got 100.
No.
Like
they've
98?
never reached 100.
97?
It is 99, which wasn't one of the World Series teams. It was the 85 team.
Right, okay.
So it's gone pretty well unchallenged for almost 40 years.
I'm just going to go blind optimism here as a person that's only a fan of the Jays when they're about 500. They're going to win 100 games this year.
100 games?
And I'll be a fan every game, unless they start 0-1. But they won't. They'll win. They're going to do it. I said last year we did an episode of this show. You weren't here. I don't remember why, but we did our MLB preview. And Mark and I both had the Jays winning the division, I believe. Or at least I did, blindly.
Yeah, that sounds wrong. I'm pretty sure I had Judge down for 63 too, but I mean, you don't have to check the tapes.
We'll have to check the tapes. One of those early episodes.
Interesting here, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred acknowledged that a salary cap may be the answer to the growing discrepancy between big markets and small ones that's creating a gap in on-field competitive balance.
Duh.
He comes out and said that there is one truism that is very hard to ignore. There are arguably 5 major professional sports in North America. 4 of them have one system. One of them has a different system. I'm sort of a believer in the idea that the majority eventually gets it right. When you're an outlier, you have to ask yourself one question: does somebody else have the system right?
Yeah. So this is trolling, right? This is him sending a shot across the bow to Tony Clark at MLBPA and saying, listen, put this on your radar, boys, because the 32 owners are talking about this. And because the other 4 sports don't have it right. Look at the markets that win. The Tampa Bay Lightning is not one of your predominant 5 markets in the National Hockey League. It's not. In baseball, you have Atlanta, good size market. You have the Dodgers, okay, fine. You have Toronto, which is a big market, doesn't win. You have the Yankees, big market, hasn't won in forever by Yankee standards. So, how many times have you, it's not small ball. The A's haven't competed in a long time. San Diego, Milwaukee. These are teams in the last 5 years that are division champs. So I don't know. I think this is just, this is making a news story out of something just to put it into the ether there.
I like the idea of a salary cap in baseball.
Really?
Yeah. It's a little silly that it doesn't have it.
Getting a little out of control with some of the numbers, would you say there, young Matty?
Probably.
Top of the food chain, New York Mets, $375.3 million payroll.
You have a new owner, Steve Cohen.
Oakland A's at the bottom, 77.1.
Sure. Okay. But I would guess that the win total between the New York Mets and the Oakland A's will be less than 25. And the A's, take a look at their roster. Holy smokes.
So I'm a little torn. Because North American sports, you mentioned, I assume the 5th would be MLS.
Yeah.
4 out of the 5 do have it. But then you look at the biggest sport in the world, it's this thing called soccer. The rest of the world doesn't have a salary cap for soccer. And it's pretty successful everywhere else.
Yeah. They have a promotion and relegation system that I think in Major League, like in American pro sports, would be terrific.
Can you imagine like the Savannah Bananas in the MLB?
No, I couldn't.
Come on, we need the bananas.
But the Mets, like to their point, Steve Cohen is $375 million. He's got a busted up closer. The Mets might not even win their division. You still got to get by Atlanta.
Major League Baseball Players Association head Tony Clark said in late February that the union would never agree to a salary cap. I think we've heard that before from unions, and it has not always worked out. But
Sure.
Rob Manfred, once again, as you mentioned, continues to make a little bit of news as commissioner of Major League Baseball. Let's shift gears ever so slightly. Let's go to the ever-popular MISC category. Maybe one of the more stacked Hall of Fame classes in pro sports history. The NBA Hall of Fame announced its class.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Greg Popovich, all-time leading coach. You've got Tony Parker, who was the main point guard on a lot of those Spurs championship teams. You got Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki, top 25 players, probably ever. You got Becky Hammon, who was extremely successful and has now moved over to the coaching ranks. I'm still probably going to take Dwayne Wade, I think, of that group, with all due respect to Dirk Nowitzki, because Dirk was a little bit ahead of its time, and I know he was a trailblazer in terms of the first European ever to win Most Valuable Player. Don't forget Tony Parker, too, first European ever to win Finals MVP.
Yes.
Did it in 2007. And somebody who was super successful, and I think criminally underrated Tony Parker.
Absolutely.
For what he was able to do in the playoff runs. I think he's 5th all-time in playoff assists. Just somebody who was very, very steady.
He's very much the ringleader on those Spurs championships, for sure.
The last two, definitely.
The last two, definitely.
But
6-time All-Star, 4-time MVP. Like, the guy is, he's a beauty.
Dirk was ahead of his time. I would love him to play in today's era because he was one of the original stretch fours where he was the big 7-footer who could shoot the three.
Right. Who didn't get in? Did you see this list?
No.
Like, there's Sean Marion.
The Matrix.
The Matrix.
Sean Marion's not a Hall of Famer.
No.
Brief stint as a Raptor?
So these are people that that were on the ballot. There's not too many here that were.
Was I wrong about that? Did he play for the? I think he played for the
Sean
Raptors.
Marion?
Sean Marion?
No, am I wrong?
Let's see.
I thought there was a minute, like a very.
Oh,
brief minute.
he might have in the late
2009.
I was gonna say in the late 2000s. Yeah,
I'm not crazy.
Chauncey Billups.
Mr. Big Shot.
Yeah,
Probably not. Again, former Raptor.
former Raptor.
Gets away. He was the Finals MVP for the Pistons when they won in 2005.
Correct. Yeah, like
But
the
not-
workers team.
Not quite into the Hall of Fame threshold, I don't think.
There was a lot of other guys that are kind of like Detlef Schrempf, for a 15-year NBA.
2-time 6th man of the year with the Indiana Pacers.
Jeff Hornacek.
I like him. Probably not.
Really, I mean, the other guys, Rasheed Wallace.
I feel bad for. Well, I could be talked into Rasheed Wallace, actually. Jeff Hornacek, though. I feel bad for him because he's the poster child of when people are comparing eras of LeBron and Michael, where they look back and be like, can you imagine LeBron going against Jeff Hornacek?
Yeah, right.
Kind of a poor man Stockton. He was a good player, though, man. He could shoot the lights out, that guy.
Absolutely. Horace Grant.
Yeah. XFL 3.0.
What's happening here?
Oh, baby. You want the audio?
Yeah, hit me with it.
This is the
Any chance we get to play some loud screaming Vince audio, we're going to play it.
Have you indulged any of this at this point?
No. I don't even know where to find it. It's not
That's
on
part of the problem.
That's part of the problem. I turn on my Cogeco Epico box, easy for me to say, and I'm not scanning for the XFL. Like, where can I find it? Like, is it on like NBC Plus? Is it on one of these Plus things?
ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN Plus, and FX.
So the first part of the season's only been on FX.
Oh, well, there's why.
That stinks.
So the 13 of the remaining 20 games will now be on ABC, ESPN. A little
Makes
bit more
sense.
Available.
Okay.
I pulled some stats. The average TV audience through 5 weeks this time around, 656,000, which is down a whopping 63% from the XFL 2.0. Remember, they came back for 5 weeks.
right before COVID.
And then COVID shut them down. Now, The Rock has come out and said that, no, we're going ahead with the second season. This is not going to be a one and done. And it's not what he calls an apples-to-apples comparison because of some of the TV stuff we just cited. Also, back then, there was no March Madness to compete with because the tournament had been shut down. So he had a few more eyeballs, The Rock did. But he says that, no, they like it. They've got 40,000, I think, for a St. Louis home game. for Gate. There's been good atmospheres in D.C. He feels the football's a good enough product.
That's going to be the key.
The problem is,
Always
like,
is.
half the stadiums they're playing in are like 20,000, and the other half are 70,000.
Yeah. That's going to be hard to get. Like 40,000 for a St. Louis home game.
Yeah, but like the place seats 67,000, so it still looks kind of empty.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. But 40,000 gates, like, I mean, how many get given away? Is there 10,000 giveaways?
Probably
I
a
don't know.
couple.
The problem is there's going to be a lack of broadcast TV coverage for the 2023 season. So again, if you can't get television exactly to the point you made, it's difficult to pull off. And I consider myself a big XFL supporter, even going back to 2001. But I haven't watched a single second of this culmination of the XFL.
Isn't one of these, like, if you have a breakaway league, because it's not a rival league, if the XFL just called it what it was, if the XFL could be the, to use like a video game term, like the NFL hits, if it could be the, it just is, it's the Extreme Football League, and make it the Extreme Football League.
Steel chairs.
Well, I don't know about steel chairs, but I mean, this was born out of this sort of, like Vince was the ultimate showman.
Yeah.
It was about entertainment. So is the XFL trying to play traditional ball? Like,
Yes.
why can't this be football with like cross slam ball? Like, why isn't it like that? It's slam ball basketball.
So
Which
I
is
was-
coming back, by the way.
It
slam
is,
ball.
yeah.
I can't wait for
Spike
that.
TV.
I've seen some some clips on Twitter. It looks like a blast. Like, it looks like the players are playing. Like, it looks like decent football, which has always kind of been lacking with the XFL. But the fans look like they're having a blast too.
You need to have a star too. There has to be one guy that just shoots the lights out here. And you don't
need
have
Tommy
that.
Maddox. He was the original star, right?
You need Herschel Walker. You need Steve Young. You need the USFL dudes.
Who's there now? Josh Gordon's in the XFL.
Yeah, like,
He's a good player.
oh, yeah, sure, when he played.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a natural transition to go from the XFL owned by The Rock, formerly owned by Vince McMahon, to an important anniversary. It was this week back in 1987, WrestleMania 3. Hulk Hogan slams Andre the Giant.
I don't know if he's got enough left in him. That adrenaline can do wonders. We're seeing what this guy is really made of. Why he is the greatest professional athlete in the world today. Look at this. He's slammed the Giant. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Oh, dropping a big leg. Over for the cover. It's over.
One, does it make you feel old that was 1987 that occurred? And also, a lot of people can say a lot of memorable calls. Summit Series, Golden Goal. I mean, for me, Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura, they rose to the occasion. That is an iconic call.
It is an iconic call. Absolutely. 7-year-old me will always smile. That was beautiful to watch in the moment. Unbelievable. Like the ultimate, like, good versus evil triumph, right? Because Andre was a heel. He was the ultimate. He was. And so when Hogan slammed him, it was like, oh my God, he's going to beat, like, you had never watched Andre lose. When we were kids, like, Andre never lost. And I know the match was terrible, and he's 2 years past his due date when the doctors told him he was going to live to 40. And, like, I get all that. He could barely walk. He's his back's all wrecked. Like, but still.
If you're a big nerd like Matt Latour and I, you could probably speak in firm detail, which we will not do, of what this event actually led to the so-called 80s wrestling boom, where it became super must-see television. As a matter of fact, in February of 88, more than, 38 million people watched Hogan Andre the rematch
yeah.
on NBC in prime time.
The Saturday night main events.
Yes.
Like, those were a thing.
WrestleMania is this weekend with over 100,000 tickets sold, and it doesn't happen without this moment.
Shout out Dave Dixon, who's down there live.
Is he?
watching it. Yeah, in Los
he?
Angeles.
Our guy.
Yeah,
He is.
he's going to take it in the 2-day event, correct?
Wow.
2-day event.
Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Hogan Andre, regardless of the star rating for the particular match, it mattered in the lexicon what sports entertainment would be. And it was in front of, at then, an indoor attendance record of 93,000 fans, which most people believe was closer to 78,000. But still, it was great. And WrestleMania 3, how far we've come.
Beautiful.
All right, now it is time. We talked about it a little bit earlier. The first ever Capital PTBO Sports Spelling Bee.
I'm so excited for this.
So, if you missed the beginning of the program, I have been approached by the Rotary Club of Peterborough to participate in a media spelling bee. Mark, you thought this would be an intriguing segment.
Yes.
I hope the viewers out there think that this is going to be an intriguing segment. And Matt Latour, you're the quiz master, so you sort of set the guidelines here.
So, there will be 7 rounds. You each get a different athlete's name, and it gets progressively more difficult. So, I've got 14 names here. You each get 7. I've done this, I think, as fairly as possible, because I knew Jordan would know some names. Mark, you would know some names. So, I've tried to make it a little more challenging.
Oh, that's nice. So I'm not going to get the tennis guy or like the cricket guy.
You do have at least one. You have a tennis name.
See that?
There's no
This is cheating.
But you should know it. You should know it.
Andy
If you don't, it's on you.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. No. Jim Samper, Pete Sampras. Oh, I would have got that wrong.
Jim Sampras.
You're allowed to write on your piece of paper, and you're allowed to scribble.
Okay.
You have to read the name out loud with spelling, and it's the last name only.
Last name only. Jeopardy style.
And if I feel like you're taking too long, you're going to get one of these.
Oh.
Okay.
And if you get it right, you'll get this, which is actually the wrong noise in a real spelling bee.
Yeah, they always went with the bell for the incorrect.
That's right.
So who wants to go first?
Oh, let's give the host.
Bring it on.
You know,
Jordan Mercier, your first name.
Yes.
Roger Federer.
Okay, Roger Federer, the Raj. So this one is this one's easy. Federer. Roger Federer of Swiss origin.
There you go.
Okay.
Not to be confused with David Ferrer, who was actually in the mix for a while there too. Get a little confused.
Ferrer.
Yeah.
Ferrer. Ding.
Mark.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers. Can I have it in a sentence, please?
Aaron Rodgers is immune to COVID-19.
He emerged from the darkness. Rodgers. Rodgers.
I wasn't catching him with the D in there, was I?
No.
I thought that would maybe throw him for a loop.
Sneaky.
Yeah.
All right, round 2. You both got 1. I'm just gonna
Excited about this.
keep in track here.
You don't want to miss that first one. Then you're in a
I
bad
know,
way.
then you're
and
in a
is
bad
it one and
headspace.
done, or do we get 2? Is
It's
it
just
a
gonna be
mulligan?
whatever you get out of 7.
Oh, okay.
Will be the winner.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I'll look up some tiebreak names if
Sure.
you guys are both even. Jordan, former Toronto Raptor Bismack Biyombo. Hold on. Do we want the Curb Your Enthusiasm music?
Yeah, no.
No.
Oh, I'm glad you got him.
Oh. I mean, there has to be a Y in there somewhere. Is it B? I'm going to go Biyambo.
B-I-Y. What did you have?
AMBO. Oh, come on.
B-I-Y-O-M-B-O.
Oh, Biyombo. I liked him when he was in Toronto.
Bismack.
Yeah.
Mark,
I feel bad because it gets worse than that, and I just threw that. Didn't want that one early.
Johnny Gaudreau.
Johnny Gaudreau. Gaudreau. Johnny Gaudreau.
2-1 Mark after 2
That's
rounds.
bull.
It's getting better. Don't worry. So Mark, you won the last round. Do you want to go first or second this round?
No, we'll continue on.
Keep it going. All
Oh,
right.
yeah.
A lot of pressure on me for this one.
Yeah.
Jordan.
It's like soccer penalty kicks. You don't want to get behind.
Moving into baseball.
Okay.
Xander Bogaerts.
Bogarts. I'm going to go Bogarts. Bogarts.
Bogarts.
Ah.
Yes, I knew that. AE. Yes, that is a
Boy,
filthy
I'm in
one.
trouble.
That's a tough one. I give you a baseball one, man. You should have gotten that.
I'm disappointed. I was banking on Rizzuto.
Mark. Dustin Byfuglien.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Oh, he's fumbling around with the end. He's not sure. He doesn't like the end.
Oh, no.
We need a close up on the sheets here.
Justin. Oh.
Oh, he's trying.
I'm giving you 5 seconds.
He's giving it
Dustin Bufflin. Byfuglien. Dustin Bufflin.
Oh,
I knew once I wrote the AN, it didn't look right.
I'm pooched.
Let's go.
We'll switch it up. We'll make Mark go first this round.
Let's go.
He's got a 2-point lead.
I'm
Bring
too
it.
scattered right now.
Mark, Canadian tennis player Bianca Andreescu.
I feel like that one's a little soft for number 4. Got seriously injured earlier this week, unfortunately.
Did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, at the Miami Open.
Seems like he's struggling with it.
Andreescu. Andreescu.
Come on.
Let's go. I didn't know if it was EAS. EES.
Mark's gone 4 for 4 to start.
Let's go.
Well, that just shows you.
Jordan doesn't like being in the mono very much. It's a lot of heat to handle.
He's in his kitchen here now.
Mark.
No.
Oh, sorry, Mark. Jordan. You talked about unicorn big men earlier. What about Kristaps Porzingis?
Kristaps Porzingis. It's too. There's got to be a sneaky part. That's the problem. I'm not thinking of the sneaky elements of each of these names. Porzingis. Portz.
Yeah, there's no T,
No
is
T.
there? Yeah.
Porzingis.
You had it too.
I've been one letter off on every single one of these. By the way, I don't appreciate like the mid-sentence buzzer there.
Oh, that makes it better.
That was
it makes it better.
Disrespectful.
They don't even do that in scripts. They let you struggle all the way to the end and then deliver the ding.
Mark.
Latour's got no. Hey,
I'm screwed.
No, okay,
That,
let's
that
go.
basically clinches it.
Mark.
Yes.
Teuvo Teravainen.
Oh. Teuvo Teravainen. 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 Let's go.
And I swapped these ones to make it easier.
This
for Jordan.
feels like an insider
I
trading going on
swapped
here.
that was originally your name. Would you have gotten it?
No,
No.
I'm really not good at this game.
You're
We'll
in
play
trouble.
World Series slot machine coming up here.
Jordan.
Redeem myself.
Nicholas Hjalmarsson.
John. H.
Yep.
J.
Yep.
A-L. Joe. H-J-A-M.
A-M or A-L? Because you said
A-L,
both. now.
sorry.
A-L, okay.
H-J-A-L. M-E-R. S-E-N.
H-J-A-L-M-A-R-S-S-O-N.
Nah, I wasn't close on that one.
That was, yeah. You it was promising.
I think I even fumbled it, and you gave me a chance to recoup myself.
2 rounds left.
2? Oh, yeah, jeez.
This round is combat sports.
Like a Hulk Hogan. Okay, fine.
Jordan, you can go first this round.
Oh.
Okay.
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
I'll take Khabib. You're welcome.
Say it. Pronounce it for me.
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Say it one more time.
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Nurmagomedov. N. U. Say it for me one more
Would
time.
you like it in a sentence?
Yeah, please.
Khabib Nurmagomedov beat up Conor McGregor.
N-U-R. G.
No.
Nurmagomedov.
Nurmagomedov.
Oh.
You missed the ma. This is getting ugly. Mark.
This is just...
But I have George St. Pierre. Okay.
This is like, I'm like a field goal kicker who's got the yips. I couldn't even... I'm like writing it down. I'm like, how does that not make sense?
Mark.
Yeah.
Manny Pacquiao.
How is Manny Pacquiao and whatever it was?
Nurmagomedov is spelt exactly like it said.
Fine.
I don't want to hear from you over there. I got a mute button
Just
here.
saying.
Manny
Keep it up.
Pacquiao. Pacquiao. Pacquiao.
Oh my goodness.
Look out.
All right, last round. Mark, you're in the lead. Do you want to go first or second?
I'll defer.
Let's just say that it's not looking good for the Rotary Spelling Bee.
No. Jordan. On to coaches. Mike Krzyzewski. Look, Mark's eyes just lit up because he knows he doesn't know it.
I'll take a stab at it then.
We'll see if Jordan can get it right first.
Sure.
This would be his
Okay, well,
second one.
Coach K, so you're not going to catch me on that.
A lot of letters kind of mixed
Oh
in
my
here,
God,
though.
is there ever?
He's going to be Polish, right?
Yeah. I don't even want to wager a guess at this. KZ.
Nope.
Oh, done already.
K.
What did we get to? KC? No.
No.
Mark, you want to take a stab at it before yours?
Yeah.
Rigged.
Mike Krzyzewski. KRYZEWSKY. Oh.
KRY
Yeah.
or KRZYZEWSKI. And Mark, your final one to go officially 7 for 7.
Lou Francis Getty.
Former Peterborough Pete Semyon Dargachintsev.
Deep in thought.
Also plays for the Toronto Marlies and occasionally
Mark's
the
also
Leafs.
flexing by spelling the first name, too. He's just in a zone right now.
Look at the handwriting. This guy's got like a font for handwriting. Mine just looks like chicken scratch.
It's terrible.
Wow, this is Dare argue Chinsev.
So we did this beforehand with your brother when you were out of the store. And this was one of the two he got wrong, I think.
Dare argue Chinsev. I don't like this letter here. I don't know. Okay. DER dash
Yep.
ARG
Yep.
UC
Yep.
HIN
Yep.
SEV.
Ah.
DER
Yeah.
hyphen
Yeah.
ARG
Yeah.
UCH
Okay.
INTSEV.
Oh.
6 for 7's not bad.
Dare Chinsev. That's
Did you only get one wrong? That was the only one you got wrong the whole time.
yeah.
And Krzyzewski, but that wasn't his. That's not bad. I'm going to give a round of applause to Mark. And Jordan, you can get booed.
Thank you. We'll get to it at some
felt
point.
like-
Oh, there we go.
We'll let the viewers decide if that list was balanced. Aaron Rodgers.
I gave you Hjalmarsson over Teravainen because I thought it was easier for you.
I don't know. Remains to be seen.
And then he nailed Teravainen.
I have some big news. This is my last program for at least a week because I'm having a son and he's going to be born scheduled for next Tuesday. Could happen before then, but that's as late as it's going to go.
Yes.
So, other than teaching him how to spell sports names, Mark, you have a son.
Yes.
Elite athlete Cole Million.
Of Holy Cross football, yes.
Give me your 3 top tips for being the father of a son.
Oh,
I only have a
jeepers.
daughter right now. And this could get really emotional. Like, we could go on the surface.
Yeah, sure. So
We got about 3 minutes.
I mean, when it's I guess it depends on what your beliefs are, I guess. Certainly as the boy gets older, I mean, there's a few things. You want him to have that confidence when he's a kid. You want him to understand that his strength is in his voice. It's not, a boy's strength is in his voice. It's about making people feel better. It's not necessarily about physicality at that point.
Yeah.
I think the other thing with Cole was like, he's always had sisters. Like he's got 3 sisters at our place. Like he's got 6 sisters in total. So, I think that as he grew up, like we taught him to, being the man of the house wasn't necessarily necessary to be the man of the house. It was just, be the best man that you could be. And whatever that is, it just, always looking to be helping others. Don't look to solve people's problems. Look to help them with these sorts of things.
Be all that you can be.
Just like the Army. And that was their slogan in the 80s, be all you can be in the Army. And the boy wants to try everything, so don't limit it. Like Cole wanted to, he was into things that I wasn't necessarily always into. And so I never tried to steer him away from like, hey, you want to play baseball? Like he wasn't a kid that really he liked cars and he liked motorcycles and he liked things that aren't necessarily to me. They were more the influence of his stepfather. And that was okay with me. Like, not only was it okay, it was rad. So, like, if you're not comfortable with it, kind of enjoy the experience with him in terms of, what that's going to be, whatever it's going to be that he wants to do.
Maybe my son will saddle up next to Uncle Matty and watch Top Gear. As his dad tries to figure out what show that is.
Still, to this day, 3 years later, you still haven't figured it out.
No. For all you know, he could grow up to be a 7-footer and just dunking on dad before he gets to middle school.
If you and Ingrid have a 7-foot child,
I told Mrs.
I'll leave
M.
Peterborough. I'll leave.
I told Mrs. M. I want a man's man.
Sure. Hey.
No Mercier has been a man's man in several generations. No hunters, no fishers, nobody who can change their oil. That's what I want.
I think he might need some outward influence then if he's going to turn into that.
Rapid Robert.
Oh, no.
That might be the first and last time we ever mentioned Bob's name on the show. I'll give you this. You talk about Ingrid and Jordan, obviously lovely Mrs. M, having a 7-footer. The Rusimovs were people of regular height, regular stature, and Andre grew up to be the 7th wonder of the world. So you can never be sure.
Well, so much wrestling talk this week. I like it.
Yeah, you're excited.
Next week when I'm at the helm, come on.
It's going to be all wrestling talk, that's for sure. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. You've been watching the Capital PTBO Sports Show, an MNC podcast production.